You've spent months writing perfect code. You run your final checks, take a deep breath, and hit the deployment key. But instead of a flood of traffic, you get silence. The code base is elegant. The server architecture is flawless. There are 0 bugs. Yet your analytics dashboard shows exactly 0 active users. This is a trap that catches brilliant engineers every day. The belief that if you build a great product, people will naturally find it. Most failed startups actually have completely functional products. They just don't have any customers. It is easy to look at marketing as fluffy or imprecise, maybe even a little manipulative. But if we strip away that stigma, marketing is really just a logical system for distributing your work. You wouldn't write software without a way to test and debug it. Customer acquisition works the same way. We can apply testable, repeatable frameworks to our launch, so we never have to face an empty server again. The standard timeline for building a startup usually looks like this. You spend all your time and money writing code, and you wait until launch day to figure out how to tell people about it. In his book, Traction, Gabriel Weinberg outlines a safer approach. He introduces the 50-50 rule, a strict allocation of your daily resources. This diagram shows what that looks like. Instead of working sequentially, you have 2 parallel tracks. You spend half your time writing the product and half testing ways to reach your audience from day 1. By talking to users early, your traction track sends information backward to your product track. You learn what people actually want, preventing you from writing code for features nobody will use. Treating your audience growth as a parallel process to coding puts you in a much stronger position for launch. It creates momentum early, so actual demand waits on the other side of your deploy command. If asked who your product is for, the most dangerous answer you can give is everyone. Trying to reach the entire internet at once requires massive budgets, and it usually results in a message so vague that no one cares. Authors like Seth Godin and Jeffrey Moore suggest the exact opposite approach. They advise targeting the smallest viable audience, a highly specific group with a highly specific problem. This chart is a map of how groups of people adopt new tools. Most products follow this curve, starting with a few enthusiasts and eventually reaching the mainstream. Notice this gap right after the early adopters. You cross that gap by zooming in on a tiny sliver of the market. You solve one urgent problem for a very small group of people who are desperate for a solution. When you completely dominate that tiny niche, those early users become your proof. Earning their trust is the mandatory first step before you can scale to a larger audience. When you finally get visitors to your website, it's tempting to show off your hard work. But a landing page filled with technical specifications, server details, and architecture diagrams will push non-technical buyers away. In building a story brand, Donald Miller notes that customers gravitate toward products they can understand quickly. Clarity usually matters more to a potential user than the actual technical superiority of a tool. FedEx became a household name because they claimed one simple concept in the customer's mind. They didn't lead with complex logistics or aircraft maintenance. Instead, they focused on overnight delivery. Similarly, the Apple II stood out because it shifted away from the dense terminology used by early microcomputers. Instead of marketing processing power to engineers, Apple framed the computer as a tool for regular people to use in their daily lives. Your customer has a problem they are trying to solve. They are the hero of their own story. Your software is simply the tool they use to win the day. We can patch a failing launch sequence with 3 clear steps. Test your distribution channels while you code, target a tiny specific audience, and write your messaging so the customer is the hero. You don't need a formal marketing degree to do this. You already know how to build complex, logical systems. Now you are just applying that same systematic thinking to human behavior. This diagram illustrates the ultimate purpose of marketing. It is the structural bridge that connects your technical solution on one side to the psychology of a real human being on the other. Before you write your next line of code, step back. Ask yourself who exactly needs your software and how you plan to reach them. Once you solve that, you're ready to build.